It's starting to set in for a lot of Fallout fans that even despite us having a pretty good run of games,
Like and subscribe to this guy too.
we now might be looking at a decade-plus wait for the next Fallout game. In this video, I want to break down when we can realistically expect to see that. Some people are saying mid-2030s, but is that real? Or some of the other more optimistic takes?
That's a lot.
Like a new Fallout.
That's a lot of time to wait for a new game.
A game this decade, or even this...
Some people will lose interest, or they'll find better alternatives and lose interest anyhow. I don't see any other option.
this year? Because that's...
I think an indie studio will come out with a better game before them, because they are faster and they'll lose all kinds of interest to their game. And when it comes out, it's too late, maybe.
Crazy as it sounds, while doing the research for this video, I realized Fallout 5 might be even further than you think, but that might also be okay.
Maybe further than Elder Scrolls, than TES 6.
For starters, it seems increasingly likely that the next Fallout game isn't going to be Fallout 5, and very possibly won't even be made by Bethesda Game Studios at all. And if you're dying for this game, a change of dev is probably a good thing. The simple reality is, the Fallout TV show has changed things.
Yeah, maybe.
In 2021, we heard how Phil Spencer was considering shutting down Fallout 76, but now in 2020...
Wait.
It seems increasingly likely that the next Fallout game isn't going to be Fallout 5, and very possibly won't even be made by Bethesda Game Studios at all. And if you're dying for this game, a change of dev is probably a good thing. The simple reality is, the Fallout TV show has changed things. In 2021, we...
If you almost shut down Fallout 76, had to take it to a PlayStation service to save it. That's what you call it, shameful. Yeah, they humiliated themselves a bit here, I guess.
We heard how Phil Spencer was considering shutting down Fallout 76, but now, in 2025, the game is getting its biggest update.
But fishing is just a start with a big building update next in line. Fishing is so small, they should do like bigger updates, more important updates, I guess. Don't you think?
This seems to be a result of the Fallout TV show. Todd Howard himself told Variety, "You're looking at a 4 to 6x increase in daily players, which is beyond anything I've seen in my 30...
You are looking at a 6 increase in... which is beyond anything I've seen in my 30 years of doing this. Well, I was thinking, unfortunately, I think they still think about doing an online game. And they should follow the old single-player game formula. Make a single-player game, please. Don't you think? Never played those, but I saw lots of gameplay on those. I think that's their strength, not doing online games.
Years of doing this. And what makes the situation unique is that somehow Xbox and Bethesda weren't expecting this large of a boost, which...
Fallout has more than double its concurrent players on Steam with the release of Fallout TV series. But I don't think this will stick to many years. It's just the hype right now, I guess, because of the TV show. When the TV show is running, maybe they'll have more players, but the engine still remains the same. And if they don't put out huge updates, big updates, maybe include TV show stuff, I don't know, some Easter eggs like that, I don't think they'll be able to keep all these players. What do you think? Yeah. Even from some of their own updates, it was pretty clear they weren't fully prepared for 6 extra players on their games. But then Xbox started reacting. Right in the midst of all this Fallout hype in April of 2024, insider Jez Corden said he heard Microsoft were formulating plans for how to get the next Fallout game here sooner rather than later. Microsoft was realizing at the time, oh, we can't just wait around for Bethesda to do it, this needs to happen sooner. And Jez even mentions it could be a game releasing this decade, and his guess was Obsidian could be the developer behind it. First, Phil Spencer responded, but they should not do like a VOD type of stuff. They should do better, more reactive NPCs, stuff like that. I think they made a VOD recently, if I'm not mistaken. Having a new Fallout game as an opportunity for Microsoft. More recently, when talking to Variety about game tie-ins to some of their shows, he says, "But I wouldn't say we perfected that, of being ready and having a date when we know the show was going to come out, and we learn from it," is the best way of putting it. And while he does continue on to say that right now, releasing a movie side-by-side with a game is beyond their creative capability, what I found interesting here was the contrast. Phil Spencer obviously sees value here in more content around show releases. This is an area they haven't perfected just yet, but are seemingly learning from their mistakes. That is completely different to what Todd Howard has been saying, the person we typically view as the head of Fallout, during his interview with Mr. Matty Plays last year.
You know, we don't feel like we need to rush any of that. You know, right now, the Fallout TV show fills a certain niche in terms of the franchise and storytelling. Totally get the desire for a new kind of mainline single-player game. And look, those things take time. I don't think it's bad for people to miss things.
Right.
So he's kind of want to continue with the Fallout 76 and update that only and milk it instead of building a new Fallout 5. That's unfortunate in the near future.
So we just want to get it right and make sure that everything we're doing in a franchise, whether it's Elder Scrolls or Fallout or now
It seems like an excuse from me, from Todd Howard. How does it seem to you?
Harfield, that those become, meaningful moments for everybody who love these franchises as much as we do.
So Todd Howard doesn't mind waiting a bit longer for Fallout 5, but it seems like Phil Spencer
I mind.
is more interested in getting things done sooner, and the best option for
Yeah, hopefully Microsoft too, so he can force his hand. But only if it comes out good, like don't force his hand too much, just a bit, so he makes a new one, but still takes his time with it. But not just have an excuse and never make it, or make it in like 10 years from now, which is a lot of time to wait for it. I don't think Todd Howard will even be around by then. So, yeah, should not have excuse to milk Fallout 75 only and not make a game right now. But he should not be rushed at the same time. There is an equilibrium there.
for something sooner is Obsidian Entertainment. Right now, Bethesda is busy with the Elder Scrolls 6, but Obsidian happens to be the only other major studio with experience working on a Fallout game, and in 2025, this year, two massive teams at Obsidian open up as both Avowed and The Outer Worlds 2 are releasing/have released. And the fun part is, this is exactly how we got Fallout New Vegas. Bethesda was too busy with Skyrim, but wanted a new Fallout game, and even back then, Obsidian was available and had a bunch of devs who had worked on Fallout previously. The exact same thing is true in 2025. Right now, there's no actual evidence that Obsidian is working on a new Fallout.
Yeah, let Obsidian do it.
But there is definitely some stuff that is interesting. Obsidian's head of studio had
Obsidian, of course, is not the Obsidian that made New Vegas, Fallout New Vegas. But yeah, if they try enough, I think they can make a good enough game. So modders can make it the best Fallout game.
has said for years he wanted to make a
Like, build a good foundation.
Fallout game. The first hint that something could be coming was in 2022, after Microsoft officially owned Fallout, so Obsidian, for the first time ever, could again work on a Fallout game. Jeff Grubb said he heard that early talks of an Obsidian Fallout game were happening internally at Microsoft.
Very early. This is very early, but people have begun to have talks and say these words in sentences, and those words are Obsidian and New Vegas 2. I will say that there's at least an interest and conversations being had.
That's a good one if they make a New Vegas that follows the first game's formula with lots of options and consequences for them. I think is what I've heard that made it good enough. That made it the best, Fallout game. They follow the same formula but improve on it a bit. That's a win, I think.
About making something like that actually a reality.
And even just last year, Lex Luddy, editor-in-chief of Start Menu, backed this up. I can say the discussion Grubb brought up years ago of Obsidian being approached about Fallout New Vegas 2, that did happen. You know that it wasn't just Bethesda being like, hey, we don't want someone else making this game. It was also partly Obsidian going, that would be a huge scale for us that we have backed away from. And they even go on to say there's currently no Fallout in development. It is very unlikely that Obsidian are going to be the people to make the next Fallout. That was April of 2024. Right around the same time, Jess Corden was hearing Microsoft wants a new Fallout game out sooner. Then, a few months later, in July of 2024, an art director at Obsidian started working on some type of new project. This might not be a new Fallout game, but we don't really know what it is. Grounded 2 was just announced, but it seems like that began development a bit earlier. In January of 2025, the lead writer on Fallout New Vegas, John Gonzalez, took a creative director job at Obsidian to work on a new opportunity that he straight up couldn't resist. And I honestly think there could be something here. On LinkedIn, he even sways away from Fallout, saying it's not New Vegas 2, but only shortly before John Gonzalez
That's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate.
switched to working at Obsidian. He gave an interview to the successful screenwriter about Fallout New Vegas and his life. At this point, just in 2024, he was a narrative director working on a totally new IP, but he describes being super excited about that opportunity to make a new IP finally. And I mean, just listen to the way he talks about Fallout in this interview.
So before that, I heard these rumors. There were these sort of stirrings that the studio might be doing something that would be the Fallout. And I thought, I wish I could be working on that because I just adore Fallout. Fallout was one of my favorite series.
I don't know. At least to me, it kind of seems like that unresistible opportunity to come back to Obsidian after seemingly already having a great opportunity to write a new IP could be a new Fallout game. It's not New Vegas 2, but maybe it's just some other Fallout.
But hopefully it has the same consequences and lots of options you can choose and consequences for them.
Spin-off title. And if you're not familiar with John Gonzalez, you should be. Josh Sawyer always gets brought up as kind of being the guy for Fallout New Vegas that people look to. But John Gonzalez was right there with him, and a lot of your favorite aspects of Fallout New Vegas were written by John Gonzalez. So the fact that he's back at Obsidian, regardless of what he's working on, whether it be new Fallout or not, is pretty exciting to me. What makes it even more exciting is I think it actually might be a Fallout game. This sounds like somebody who is incredibly
That's a bit of a clue right there.
passionate about Fallout. It just kind of seems like that opportunity might be a new Fallout game at Obsidian. It's not New Vegas 2, but maybe it's just some other Fallout spin-off title. John Gonzalez spent a ton of time working with the Fallout New Vegas director Josh Sawyer while at Obsidian. He actually talks about this a ton in this interview. And right now, we don't know
Oh, that's great that he has experience with New Vegas.
what Josh Sawyer is working on. But in 2018, 2022, and 2024, Josh Sawyer said he would work on Fallout again. But even if all of this was somehow true, and that's a big if, it would still likely be a 2028 to 2029 Fallout game at the absolute soonest. Although, to me, this feels incredibly possible. Like at this point, outside of Lex Slutty, everyone here seems to be on board with a new Obsidian Fallout. Obsidian wants it, fans want it, and apparently Microsoft also wants more Fallout out sooner. I personally would guess that the next major Fallout title that isn't a remaster or remake will be an Obsidian Fallout game. The unfortunate
Hopefully not a remaster or remake, please. I never played Fallout 3, but I don't care about the graphics. They are good enough for me. I want just a new Fallout game. That's good too. What do you want?
reality is it's still likely years away. But then we might
From Obsidian, I mean.
also get a Fallout 3 remaster. This game finds itself in a more interesting spot as a lot of external factors are at play right now. Fallout is
I can play Fallout 2 as is too.
super hot thanks to the TV show. It just really elevated the brand as a whole.
I don't care for graphics that much in games. I want the story to be good, then the gameplay, then the graphics. The graphics are the least most important part.
And then, of course,
Let's say-
the shadow dropping of Oblivion Remastered has been a giant success for Bethesda and the Xbox. It genuinely seems
At least one success story.
to have exceeded expectations. So now, all of that hype
That's good for them and for gamers.
is being redirected into a potential Fallout 3 remaster, and to me it just feels like hype around this game is higher than ever right now. But there's a problem. While it does seem almost certain that a Fallout 3 remaster is coming, I've personally heard that it's real. It popped up on this leaked Bethesda roadmap, and Nate the Hate, the person to correctly leak Oblivion Remastered, said a Fallout 3 remaster is also coming, but won't be for a while, and that does seem to be the problem here. We know Oblivion Remastered started production in 2021, and of course dropped in the first half of 2025. That's 3.5 years of dev time. But from that first leak, we also heard that a 2024 date was possible, and that is even backed up by this roadmap, but that does suggest that a Fallout 3 remaster in the same style needs years of dev time still. I think one of the big clues backing this up is that Jez Corden leak I talked about earlier. Microsoft said in April of 2024 that they want a Fallout game out ASAP. If your Fallout 3 remaster is right around the corner, that statement doesn't make a ton of sense. Some fans think it could drop this year to go along with Season 2 of the Fallout TV show in December. Some others are convinced that a
That would be a great marketing strategy to release when the season 2 releases.
2026 date is
What do you think?
probable due to so many games in this roadmap coming out 2 years after the listed date. So many are like, oh yeah, 2026. This roadmap obviously gives us that answer, but I personally think people are looking at it wrong. My prediction is that the Fallout 3 remaster is around Season 3 of the show, and it'll likely be out in roughly 2 years in 2027. That is
Yeah, that can happen. That's good too, I guess.
the stated gap they had on this roadmap between the Oblivion remaster and the Fallout 3 remaster. They likely want to use a major portion of the team who just did this for Oblivion to do it again for Fallout 3. Although if anything, I could see them trying to speed up the development of this one thanks to that insane demand. I think more so than almost anything else, a Fallout 3 remaster could be the next Fallout game we're actually playing. But it coming out this year seems incredibly unlikely, and even 2026 seems very optimistic. I think 2027 is the earliest date we could say is realistic based off all of this information.
By how much it takes them to make this games nowadays, yeah, I think maybe 2-3 years if they start right now. Maybe they started last year, maybe 2 more years, I guess,
We have, but this still might
until it releases.
be ahead of some of your own personal expectations. Because, yeah, I'm predicting, and I do personally think, we could see both a new Fallout spin-off game from some company, Obsidian being the frontrunner, as well as a Fallout 3 remastered this decade, before 2030. But unfortunately, Fallout 5 itself is still likely years away, and it may be even further than you think. In 2021, Todd Howard confirmed that Bethesda already had a one-pager on Fallout 5.
You know, we have a one-pager on Fallout 5, what we want to do. Again, if I could wave my hand and say, have that out.
But in 2022, we got the most informative quote yet, as a tired Todd Howard explicitly lays out that Fallout 5 is coming next after The Elder Scrolls 6.
Elder Scrolls 6 is in pre-production, and, you know, we're going to be doing Fallout 5 after that. So our slate's pretty...
Yeah, hopefully they stick out with the Elder Scrolls 6, because I want it out already. That's my main game. That's my favorite game. I started playing this type of games with Oblivion. I want to continue, at least have a good enough base, and like Skyrim and modders. That's the best I expect from them, and the modders will make it a great game. Keep improving it like Skyrim. Hopefully that will happen, is what I hope that will happen from them and the modders. But yeah, don't make Fallout 5 first and then Elder Scrolls 6, please. Just make the 6 first and then Fallout 5 or whatever. Or let Obsidian do it at the same time with the 6 at best. That's what I hope. What do you guys want? Do you want Fallout 5 first or the 6?
pretty full going forward.
But what I could find is the most up-to-date quote on this comes in 2023, just one more year later. Once again, talking to Ryan McCaffrey of IGN, Ryan starts referencing Todd's statements from the previous year, but Todd Howard cuts him off to clarify.
And then last year when we talked, you said, yep, Fallout 5, I want to do that. That'll be next.
That was more of like a general, it will clearly be after Elder Scrolls 6 at some point.
Okay.
That's like, let me clarify that.
All right. Go ahead.
At some point in the future.
Yeah.
But so, okay, so, but
Like Elder Scrolls 6 is next, I think.
Yeah, and that is interesting. Ryan McCaffrey
It's good that they stick to the plan, because otherwise the devs will get confused too if they move from one game to another.
was just making the point that if Starfield is awesome, Bethesda Game Studios already has the Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 lined up. So you'd have that same exact situation with Starfield with a decade plus between games. But Todd Howard cut him off to clarify that Fallout 5 might not be next anyway. At the time, I didn't really think too much of this. This was in 2023 before we even had Starfield. But now, while doing some of the research for this video, could Bethesda actually be doing another game before Fallout 5? That was in 2023, but in 2024, we heard Fallout 5 come up a ton from all of the Fallout TV show interviews. This is where Todd Howard comments on not feeling a need to rush Fallout games, as the TV show fills a certain niche for the franchise. And what makes this even more interesting is, in 2024, Todd Howard was explicitly asked, is the plan still the Elder Scrolls 6 and then Fallout 5? Honestly think this interviewer was trying to see if Fallout 5 would hop the Elder Scrolls 6 and come out even sooner, but Todd Howard responds, I'm going to avoid putting dates on anything. I've learned that the hard way. So obviously our focus as far as new development right now is the Elder Scrolls 6, but that doesn't mean we're not making plans for other things. These quotes certainly make me wonder if Bethesda Game Studios says something
Yeah, focus on the 6, please.
else in the works after the Elder Scrolls 6, but before Fallout 5. Bethesda not working on Fallout 5 ASAP does feel kind of crazy. At the same time, if we genuinely do have 2 other Fallout games out this decade, maybe Bethesda genuinely doesn't feel a need to rush Fallout 5, which Todd Howard is explicitly saying in some of these interviews. I just sort of didn't believe him. Because right around right now, Fallout 5 should be going into pre-production internally at Bethesda.
You know, probably by the midpoint of one game, we've had enough conversations to understand what the next one's going to be. What are the big ticket, like, where's it set? What's the tone? Is there a big ticket feature or two that make it really unique?
And while we do have these non-committal quotes from Todd Howard, we also have some clues that things with Fallout 5 are progressing. Like I mentioned, Fallout 5 came up a ton with the Fallout TV show, but the most telling quotes are around what they couldn't do with the TV show. As the showrunners describe being told by Todd Howard, don't do this because we want to do that in Fallout 5, which would suggest they have at least some idea of what they're actually planning to do in Fallout 5. To rule things out, to block them off, you have to have some sort of a plan for that game. To me, it definitely sounds like they've moved past just having a one-pager on Fallout 5. And if that is the case, we do have a pretty concrete release window. Even despite the fact that Starfield took an agonizing 5 years to release after Fallout 76, most of the available information does suggest that Bethesda is still going to maintain 3 to 4 year gaps between games. Because what is perhaps the single biggest indication of when we're getting
I think at least 2 years.
Fallout 5 is when we're getting the Elder Scrolls 6.
So more than that, of course.
The documents and testimony we got around Bethesda and Xbox from the FTC trial
And that's the shortest because the games nowadays take a lot of time to make. So let's see their list. So 1024 Oblivion Remaster, they made that. Let's go to expansion, I don't know for sure. Starfield DLC, yes. Indiana Jones game, okay. So for 2025, Doom Year Zero, DLC, Project Kestrel, I don't know about that. Elder Online expansion, Project Platinum. I wonder what that is. Project Kestrel, those two projects. Elder Scrolls 6. Damn. Next year, that'll be great. I think if Test 6 comes out next year, it'll be one of the biggest games besides GTA 6. Project Kestrel expansion. So is that Oblivion Remastered or whatever? I don't know. Licensed IP game, Fallout 3 Remaster. Maybe it's like the Oblivion Remaster. Yeah, I care for it with lots of improved graphics. I'll play it for the first time. It will be like a major thing to me, I'm sure, because it was a good game, but I can play with these older graphics too. Ghost of the Line expansion, Ghost of Tokyo sequel. I don't know about this. I thought that it was not received too well. Dishonored 3, yeah. Never played those, but I heard they are very good. Doom, yeah. But the biggest one is the 6. Hopefully it will get released next year, hopefully, with GTA 6. Those will be the games I play the most, I think, next year.
have the Elder Scrolls 6 as a 2026 game and do maintain 3-year gaps between Bethesda games. That's not to say that we're definitely getting the Elder Scrolls 6 in 2026, but it is to say that 2026 or even 2027 is at least plausible. Sure, it may end up taking longer than expected, just like what happened with Starfield, but I have to imagine there's at least some hope for 2026 or near it, otherwise why do you have this year on this doc?
Elder Scrolls 6, interesting IP, multiplayer game, nope. I'm happy it's not multiplayer. Closed platform, nope. Released on PlayStation, nope. Unfortunate for PlayStation fans, yeah. Release date, TBC, but expected 2026 or later. Platform, Xbox, and so it's an exclusive after all. In order to be on Xbox, I want us to be able to bring the full complete package of what we have, and that will be true. And I think about the Elder Scrolls 6. Hopefully it comes out for PlayStation players 1 year later at least, or something. Yeah, so everybody can play it. I think they'll milk it later for all these consoles like they did with Skyrim. Redfall, I don't care. Starfield, I don't care. Elder Scrolls Online so will continue to be supported exactly as it was, and I fully expect it to keep growing and thriving on each of the platforms that are currently supported. I hope for that too. I play it from time to time. I don't care for Fallout 76 and from Deathloop. So obviously I can see here and say that every Bethesda game is exclusive. There is a contractual obligation that we are going to see through. We're always doing every one of these instances. We have games that exist on other platforms and we are going to support those games on the platforms they are on. Okay, so they put this on PlayStation, I guess. That will Ghostwire and Fallout. That will, I think it's okay. Ghostwire. I don't know about Fallout. Maybe it's better nowadays, as I heard.
In his Lex Friedman interview, Todd Howard laid out the Bethesda Game Studios development timeline, saying that once production begins, it generally takes around 2 years to complete, and then you get another 1 year to get everything really sorted, where the glue is applied. We know the Elder Scrolls 6 ended pre-production just around 2 years ago exactly, in August of 2023. 2026 is possible based off these timelines stated by Todd Howard, where they'd need about 3 more years of dev time after August of 2023. Most fans view 2027 as the most realistic possibility, as they might just need some extra time to figure things out with how monumental of a release the Elder Scrolls 6 will be. But from there, things are pretty simple. Using the exact same quotes that get us to a 2026 or so release for the Elder Scrolls 6, take us to roughly 2030 to 2031 for a release for Fallout 5, assuming Bethesda actually starts developing that game next. And while that may seem shocking to many of you, Starfield really just seems to be the outlier. Starfield took longer than usual, but Bethesda mentions having development issues with upgrading the engine, as well as, of course, there was an ongoing global pandemic that affected all game development. But at least as of right now, all the publicly available quotes we do have from the last few years do maintain Bethesda taking 3 to 4 years between games, and I would expect that for Fallout 5. Unless they just don't work on this one right away, in which case this game is more likely a mid-2030s game. And honestly, I think this is pretty possible. I've watched a ton of Todd Howard interviews, and I do find this Fallout 5 stuff odd. Todd Howard is typically quite forthcoming, and everyone expects Fallout 5 after The Elder Scrolls 6. So the fact that we don't have a quick and easy confirmation of that is surprising to me. It's almost assumed, but no, based on...
Maybe they work on... Bethesda works on T6 and Obsidian or whatever works on... Or another... Maybe Virtuous, another studio, works on Fallout 5 or a remaster of the third one or whatever. And they want to shadow drop that, so that's why we don't have confirmation that they don't work on Fallout 5.
Stuff the quotes I could find, at least, it's definitely not a known quantity that Fallout 5 is next, which in some ways gets me even more excited for the future of Bethesda. But at the very least, we almost certainly do know where Fallout 5 is set, or maybe even where this new spin-off Fallout game will be. Because right now there are a ton of clues pointing towards one setting, and that's San Francisco. Well, the theories pointing towards San Francisco are really thanks to two major things: Fallout 4 and the Fallout TV show. Bethesda has in the past teased the location of their next game in the previous one, and in Fallout 4, the main antagonist of the early game is Kellogg, who is from San Francisco. Kellogg likes to smoke San Francisco sunlights, and we could literally see the Golden Gate Bridge while visiting Kellogg's memories. San Francisco did a...
maybe they want to include some of their Season 2, like spoiler stuff into a new Fallout game, so that's why they don't want to release it before then.
Here in Fallout...
That's a theory.
Fallout 2, and during that game you can meet biologists. The only other game that biologists pop up in is Fallout 4's Nuka World DLC. And even the She are another San Francisco-based faction, and they did get some Fallout 4 skins in Creation Club. And more so than anything else, at least in Fallout 4, San Francisco gets the most mentions of any of the major locations for a next game. That's why it's the frontrunner. It has the most evidence supporting it. But there is some other stuff even outside of Fallout 4. During the development of New Vegas, Bethesda asked if
maybe they can take all this stuff from Fallout 1 or Fallout 2 and make a new Fallout 5 3D game like they did with Fallout 4. That would be an interesting idea too, I guess. Kind of a like remake, but yeah, a 3D remake.
Obsidian to not include a lot.
I'll be interested in that too. What do you think about that idea?
And about San Fran being blown up. That was, of course, years ago, but we also know Bethesda definitely has long-term plans for their games. So to me, that in particular feels like a really big clue that they've been wanting to do something in San Francisco for a while now. And the fact that Todd Howard asked the Fallout TV show showrunners to make sure the series storyline didn't contradict any of the major possible endings of the games, which they respected, also feels like a really big clue. The only two Fallout games without canon endings are Fallout 4 and New Vegas. Tie that together with the other earlier quote about the TV show having to avoid stuff that they're saving for Fallout 5, the canon ending of Fallout New Vegas likely would have an impact on a San...
Do you guys want the games to be different in story than the TV show, or have some stuff from the TV show?
Francisco-based Fallout 5. Who wins New Vegas almost certainly has a larger impact on the other Californian factions. And I can see this going either way. Maybe Fallout 5 really is in San Francisco and is done by Bethesda, but at the same time, I could see San Francisco being a really cool spin-off game location, particularly just to tap into the TV show hype. We're getting this West Coast TV show, we could get a West Coast game in the next few years to really just capitalize on all of that, maybe even expand some of the storylines.
Cannot wait to see the TV show too.
As we see from the TV show or have some of the same characters. With that said though, that is when you could realistically expect Fallout 5, and why in my opinion, the next Fallout game is...
Like and subscribe to this guy too, if you liked it, like the video. Let's do this one too.